that Kapagaron Farm, LR number 5423/2 and LR number 6053, located in Nandi County, was part of a parcels of land expropriated by the white colonial settlers in the early 1940s. That following negotiations with the community and the local leadership, Kakuzi Limited, who were the last owners of the farms, were willingly gave back parts of plots of the lands to the community for establishment of public institutions and settlement of squatters. That among the blocks of land donated by Kakuzi Limited to the community was Septon, title number 5423/2, measuring 433.02 hectares. In particular, 242 acres, that is 96.44 hectares, was to be used for the establishment of Kapagaron Technical, in brackets secondary school, and block Septon Syndicate of title number 6053, measuring 440 acres, earmarked for settlement of squatters. That between April to August 1985, Haim and Simaling, those who are licensed surveyors, began the initial discussion on how the matter of expunging the land title number 5423/2 from the bigger block. On the 26th January 1993, Kaplan and Stratton Law Firm did a letter that enclosed the schedule of shareholders of both Sireti Company Limited and Kakuzi Limited, as the transfer was first to move both lands, that is LR 5423/2 and LR 6053, from Sireti Company Limited to the parent holding company, that is Kakuzi Limited, then from the latter to the squatters' legally registered farm. That on the 24th March 1993, Kakuzi Limited did a letter to the community through the chairman of Kapagaron Farmers Cooperative Society Limited, in response to a letter the community had done on 5th March 1993, and confirming that the company was still committed to donating LR number 6053 in addition to LR number 5423/2 to the community for construction of the said technical secondary school. That on 2nd June 1993, Mr. P.N. Mogire, on behalf of the Commission of Lands, gave a final subdivisional approval of LR number 5423/2, that is the 433.02 hectares, and excised 96.88 hectares, placing the new title number of the block for the community as LR number 5423/4. That on 2nd July 1993, a Gazette legal notice number 173 was published, where Sireti Company Limited transferred LR number 5423/2, that is 1,070 acres, and LR number 6053 of 440 acres, among many other titles. That on the 24th June 1994, block LR number 5423/2 was transferred from Sireti Company to Kakuzi Limited, and the same day, the same parcel of land was allegedly transferred illegally from Kakuzi Limited to a private developer by the name Tindiret Development Trust Company. That the said Tindiret Development Trust Company Limited is a non-existent company as per the response letter from the Registrar of Companies dated 6th August 2015, which then makes the transfer of the community land to a phantom company null and void. The Kakuzi Limited is yet to declare the status of LR number 6053, which they had expressly intended as a company to unequivocally transfer to the community via a letter dated 24th March 1993. That the matter presented in this petition is not pending before any court of law or any constitutional or legal body. Therefore, your humble petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Public Petitions Committee, 1, engages the Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, and other relevant authorities with a view to investigating into the alleged irregular and illegal acquisition of Kapkagaron Farm, LR number 5423/2 and LR number 6053 by Tindred Development Trust Company. Secondly, proposes that the matter of resettlement of squatters who have occupied the Kapkagaron Farm, LR number 5423/2 and LR number 6053 land for the last 50 years be given priority during settlement of residents in the area. Thirdly, is recommends investigation into the conduct of officers responsible for settlement of the squatters for failing to adhere to land laws in the course of their duties while settling residents, and that appropriate action, disciplinary action, be taken. And lastly, makes any recommendations or actions it deems fit in addressing the plight of the petitioners. And your petitioners will ever pray. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kituru. Ordinarily, those who are interested can make comments, and if there's none, the petition, yes, Mbui, on the petition? Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support that petition. I think, Mr. Speaker, there are too many issues on issues of land ownership that have historically been an issue. And I think one of the problems we are facing is that previously, I think the Commissioner of Lands used to have the power to just give out any public land however he wanted. But Kenyans in 2010, by promulgating the new constitution, they came up with the National Lands Commission. And Mr. Speaker, it is unfortunate 14 years after the National Lands Commission was, was initiated, or the idea was conceptualized, we still have so many issues. A lot of the petitions that come to this house, Mr. Speaker, are to do with issues to do with land. So I don't know what we are going to do as a house to make sure that this thing of land is sorted out. And that's why you can see, Mr. Speaker, that just recently a whole region of Mavoko constituency had houses, over 10,000 houses that were put up affordably by individuals, brought down. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to figure out how we can sort out this. Even the affordable housing program is facing challenges to do with land. So I don't know exactly what we will do, but we need to figure out a solution for the land problem of this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, MD for cases.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support that there is actual need to actualize the Constitution of Kenya 2010 as matters public land and community land. Most of the challenges that communities that are staying around large land is occupied by multinationals, which then at that time were given leases and have lapsed. Up to then, silence has been experienced on what happens after there. Only that you see some change of activities, changes of names in terms of ownership or companies that are running those multinational. With the fix, there are people somewhere silently, when they know that certain lease has come to an end, they silently exercise a process of changing the ownership and the lease period, minus including the community. And I dare say, Mr. Speaker, I think a matter need now to be raised from this honorable house, that those multinational lands need now to be affected and even call upon resurveying of the same. Because we all understand that anything to do with public land comes with the interest of the natives and the community. Because the question is to arise, of the natives who are pushed away, where is the interest? The 10% provided by law, where is it? Right now, there are no spaces for public utility, no hospitals, no schools to build, yet those particular leases have lapsed, and as we know, when the lease lapses, the rights of that particular property reverts back to the original owner. And the original owner, in this case, are the community that were pushed away by the colonial farmers, then who end up being the multinational ownership of those particular lands. So I stand to say, it is time now that as the Republic of Kenya, we need to take action on this. We have to be serious, we have to be candid, and implement the Constitution to the letter. Thank you so much.
Sorry, minority, I'll come to you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this petition by Honorable Kitur. Mr. Speaker, land is a very emotive issue, and if somebody's land has been taken away, it's very, very bad. Mr. Speaker, we've got some lands adjudication officers who change the records in the books, and it's written in pencil. Next time you go and check, it is rubbed and put another name, and those faceless people is what we need to look at, Mr. Speaker, and the minister in charge together with the PS need to get to the bottom of those books which are written in pencil and can be rubbed at any time. So I support, Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leader.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, just to speak briefly on this petition, which I find very, very important. The Honorable Member must be commended for being bold and preparing this petition. Honorable Speaker, the issue we have which needs to be addressed, and I will be addressing you on this much later, is that under the Constitution, the National Land Constitution, National Land Commission was established at Article 67 with wide-ranging powers and functions. One of those functions was actually to initiate investigations on its own initiative or on a complaint into present or historical land injustices and recommend appropriate redress. I know the initial commission didn't do much. The commission under one Swazuri, it actually failed Kenyans. But I'm happy the present commission has tried to address some of these issues, even though it still needs to be given time. Honorable Speaker, we must be very, very careful, even as I call upon the relevant committee to expedite the processing of that petition. It has to be expedited. But we must be very careful as a house not to fall into a trap of basically clawing back on the gains we have made as a country over the years, especially on the matters of land reforms. Honorable Speaker, I will be addressing you on this matter later, and this is especially on the matter of attempting to reduce the powers, to usurp the powers of the Commission, to have the powers of the Commission usurped by the Cabinet Secretary. That's an issue that this House must deal with frontally, and I'll be addressing you on that issue extensively later, Honorable Speaker. We can't allow as a House to have any other authority or office or person usurp the powers that have been given by the Constitution to the National Land Commission, especially the power to determine the value of land and to actually act on behalf of the public of Kenya insofar as land management is concerned. Honorable Speaker, I lend my support to that petition. Thank you.
Member for Mosop. Daud.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to support this petition from the Member of Parliament of Nandi Hills, Kitur. Mr. Speaker, land is a very sensitive issue that directly, truly affects the socioeconomic stability of any society. And the issue of land in Nandi dates back to the time of the colonial times. And this issue of Kapkagaran land is one of the many land injustices that we've really experienced in Nandi. Of the 400 claims that came forward to NLC, Mr. Speaker, 10% came from Nandi. We have a lot of people who were displaced, a lot of residents who were truly displaced when the colonialists came in, so that they used the land to cultivate, to grow things like tea, sugarcane, and many other things.
So the original people who lived in those lands were displaced. And some of these displacement did not come even during the colonial times. Some of them just happened from the year maybe in the 70s, 80s, up to the late 2000s when this really happened. So, Mr. Speaker, it is a very, very serious matter, and I really applaud Member of Parliament too for bringing this matter so that we can really discuss in full, and also to encourage NLC to look into it so that those people who are displaced can actually be given back their land. The multinationals need to really sit down and figure a way to compensate the original people who own the land. So, Mr. Speaker, I truly stand to support this petition by the member. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Maungu, member for Luanda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the petition by my good friend and brother, because as you all know, land is a factor of production, Mr. Speaker. And we've had a lot of land injustices in this country because of leases that expire. And Mr. Speaker, we've witnessed situations whereby people have been chased, sometimes the property demolished because of purported expired leases, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, the idea by my brother to have this petition before the petition committee, Mr. Speaker, is a great relief. And I hope that and pray that the petition committee, Mr. Speaker, will be able to work on it fast, Mr. Speaker. However, Mr. Speaker, as you may have known, so many petitions have been given to the petitions committee that have not been processed. My fear will be that such a great petition will again delay before the same committee. So my prayer is that as important as the petition may be, the petition committee may be forced to work harder and look into the issue of land, because land is a very motive factor, and we all know that land is a factor of production. And therefore, delaying on this petition, Mr. Speaker, will be delaying on justice of many other people who may be affected by the same. I stand to support. Thank you.
Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I must take this opportunity to sincerely thank the petitioner for bringing up into this matter the issue of land, historical land injustice to the fore of national debate and parliamentary debate. Honorable Speaker, under Article 67 of the Constitution of Kenya, the National Land Commission is mandated to initiate investigation on its own initiative or on complaint into present and historical land injustice and recommend appropriate redress. I also want to join my colleague from Rwanda that probably, as much as this brings the matter to the purview of House, Parliament, and probably is to the national debate, perhaps the best and easiest place to have sent this petition would have been the National Land Commission. They have their wherewithal, they have got the technology, they have the technical know-how to probably expeditiously address this matter. Whichever way we look at it, Honorable Speaker, whichever recommendation the House makes will have to be referred back to the National Land Commission to address this matter. And then, Honorable Speaker, this brings into question the issue of land management system in this country. The issue of land information management system in this country. This process began with the Njonjo Commission report. This process continued in the Odinga report. This process was started a few years ago in the Ministry of Lands to try and digitize land information management system to an extent that, Honorable Speaker, nobody will ever claim land does not belong to themselves and proceed to register in their name. Again, Honorable Speaker, the provision of the Land Registration Act is explicitly clear on the process to be followed. I sincerely believe, as much as Parliament is obligated to listen to any petitions, if he had consulted me, I would have advised him the easier and expeditious way of handling the matter. But for the fact that has brought it to public debate is a good petition, and we pray and hope that the Public Petition Committee will do justice so that within the shortest time possible, the matter is determined and referred to the relevant constitutional commission to resolve the matter. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Meli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the petitioner, Honorable Member for Nandi Hills,
And Honorable Speaker, I want to say that this petition is a tip of the iceberg on the land issues in this country. Land issues in this country dates back to the colonial period, where the European settlers displaced hundreds of thousands of Kenyans from the White Highlands. In our county, Nandi County was one of the seriously affected areas. Kericho, most parts that we have in this country. But to delve into the issue that we have before this committee, which honorable members just brought in, Mr. Speaker, is to really look at what are the issues which are bedeviling Kenyans and affecting Kenyans every other time that a petition is raised. If you look at the issue of Ngerek or the Chepkumia petition that was brought before this house, where the government took land and they took it and made it a forest. Up to today, the people have not been compensated. We have former island areas, which was European settled areas in Chemelil, in many parts, which is within the county. Right now, the locals are settling there without title deeds. Honorable Speaker, I want to say that this petition needs to be looked at expeditiously, need to be actually handled so that the issues affecting the landless people, which are very common in Nandi, more so in Nandi Hills, in Tinderet, and in other parts of the country. I remember one time there was a petition from the coast region. There has been petitions from many other counties. Honorable Speaker, I want you to direct that the petitions committee need to look into this and expeditiously bring the report to the House, and the House has to have a resolution on how to handle land issues facing Kenyans across the country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Cynthia Muge.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to add my voice and actually support this petition that has been brought to this Honorable House by the Honorable Member, Bernard Kitur, Member for Parliament, Nandi Hills. Honorable Speaker, this issue and the lands issue in Nandi County is a very emotional, emotive and thorny issue, Honorable Speaker. And as it has been put by other members, Honorable Speaker, this is the tip of the iceberg. This particular land that we're speaking about, Honorable Speaker, has a whole community living there with zero facilities. They have zero schools, they have zero health facilities, and nothing that any human being in a settlement, Honorable Speaker, need. And Honorable Speaker, as you have seen the way it has been put in the petition under bullet number 8, that in 1994, Honorable Speaker, the land was transferred from one entity to another and to another in one day, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, me and you, being residents and Kenyans, know the bureaucracy that surrounds land. Honorable Speaker, the fact that the land was transferred from one entity to the other in one day is fishy, Honorable Speaker, enough, and is actually a red flag. So, Honorable Speaker, we also want to speak to the matters that have been here, and we want to ask that, Honorable Speaker, you accord the seriousness, Honorable Speaker, that this matter deserves, so that it can be able to get a committee to be able to look into these issues, Honorable Speaker, so that we can once and for all, in a small way, Honorable Speaker, start sorting out the injustices, Honorable Speaker, that were meted on our people, especially on the issues of land, Honorable Speaker. So that, Honorable Speaker, we avoid lands that are coming back to the legitimate people being given to pseudo companies, Honorable Speaker, that are calling themselves the trustees of the people, whereas, Honorable Speaker, they are fraudsters and they are not actually, they do not have any interest of the people, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, as a resident of Nandi County, as a representative of those people, Honorable Speaker, who have suffered, Honorable Speaker, for a very long time, I support this petition, and I pray, Honorable Speaker, just like the petitioner has prayed, that this House, Honorable Speaker, which has resources and has the capacity, should be able to help these people resolve this issue, Honorable Speaker, and the people of Nandi can be able to get back their lands so they can be able to go forward development-wise. I appreciate the opportunity to add my voice, Honorable Speaker.
I want us to end here. Professor Bartol, then Farah will close. Oh, Mlemba, you. Wow. Okay, Professor, take 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me also the chance to add my voice on this petition. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Kitur from Nandi Hills. Madam Speaker, land issues in Kenya is a time bomb. And specifically, it would seem that the Land Commission of Kenya is a toothless institution because it seems it's not able to deal with the land issues in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure it's not just in Nandi Hills, but this is a problem which is in every part of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I want to bring a case of Moiben constituency where we have several disputes. For instance, we have one referred to as Kamiasoda settlement scheme. We have another one referred to as ground loan. Mr. Speaker, this is a situation where during planting season, we have different farmers plowing the land, we have different farmers planting, and at the final end, we have a different group of people harvesting. So we have disputes throughout the year. So how I wish this matter would be taken up seriously and the committee in charge to bring a report, and I think it will go a long way in setting a record for all the other issues in all the parts of Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Farah, you'll close. Let me finish with these two members first. Milemba, then Raso, then I'll come to you, Farah. 2 minutes, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and let me support this petition. Honorable Speaker, we have what we call the predisposition in legal language. The predisposition has also been highlighted by Anton Toynbee in his theory of land ownership. That is the first occupancy theory. And therefore, land ownership in Kenya is based on the first occupancy theory, that those who walked first in the land occupied, measured it, and actually bounded it to become theirs. With the coming of Europeans, and that reminds me of the Maasai agreements of 1904 and 1911, and other agreements that were done in Central and Rift Valley, especially Nandi areas, land moved to Europeans through companies. The leases of 99 years and 100 years were thought to be unmanageable and they would never end. Honorable Speaker, they have ended. And this Parliament must now stand through the Land Commission to actually bring back this land to the original owners, who were the first occupiers of the land. It's never a time bomb because we have to deal with it now. I will be calling upon the committee concerned, the petition committee, to handle this matter as a precedent to start handing over the land to the original owners. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Dida, give the microphone to Honorable Raso. There you are.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support this petition. By the time a member stands on the floor of this House to present a petition, it means something is not working or an institution is sleeping on the job. Honorable Speaker, our Constitution is very clear. Land is either private, public, or communal. Land does not exist in perpetuity. It must belong somewhere. It is only in Kenya that we find people as squatters all their lifetime. How can Kenyans live as squatters in all parts of this country without legislators or the government of the day taking notice? I think through such petition, this House has been provided the right opportunity to address itself. Finally, Honorable Speaker, the right to property ownership, yourself as a lawyer of repute, you must have presented issues in court of individuals having issues of land. I think at the bottom of it is to accept that land belongs somewhere. It does not exist in perpetuity. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Farah.
Mr. Speaker, land is a very
emotive issue in this country. Mr. Speaker, we fought for our independence because of the dispossession of Kenyans from their rightful ancestral lands. It's a pity. We say in my language, if you steal a camel and the camel gives birth to a calf, that calf is still a stolen property. You could not say because I only stole one camel and the camel gave a birth to a calf, the calf does not become yours. It still belongs to the original owner of the camel. This land was stolen from original Africans, Kenyans in here by the colonialists. And when they were stealing it, for those of you who have studied law, they called it by the will of the crown. And a native did not have a right to land. Today, 63 years after independence, I don't know where the Talai clan is. The clan of Ole Koitalel, Ole Samoy. I don't know where they are. But they don't have land and they don't have a livelihood and they are poor and they're staying somewhere as squatters. And the ancestors of those people, when they converted that into big companies of tea farms and coffee farms or whatever it is, are the ones enjoying this. Mr. Speaker, we must have a land policy that addresses the historical injustices of the expropriation of the Africans' land. Where does the Cape Dedan Kimati's family live today? How many acres of land do they have? How many acres of land does that family have today? Hardly anything. The freedom fighters, the Mau Mau fighters, where are they? And we claim that we are an independent country here with a national assembly of our own and we make our own laws. You cannot correct, you can't pretend to be serving Kenyans when you cannot correct the historical injustices. This petition is a good one. And if I am asked, I will say, give back the land to the original owners. I don't care whether you're called Kakuzi or you're called Sasiri or you call yourself anything. The land belongs to those Nandis of those days. They need their land back. It belongs to those Kikuyus of those days. They need their land back. You try to transfer the problem to Lamu now by taking the people from Central Province to go and stay in Lamu, take over the land of other people there. And as a consequence of that, we have insecurity there. We have insecurity there. Because big wigs in our political structure here took over those lands, then in time everybody is looking for a weaker person to take over from. Mr. Speaker, if we don't address this thing, it's going to become a very big issue in this country. There is going to be a serious civil war in this country if we do not address the issue of the coastal land. The coastal lands, which have been taken over by other people. You think the sons and the grandsons of those people are going to sit back and just watch what was done to their great-grandfathers and grandfathers, what was done to Koitalele and Samoy?
Your time is up.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I support this petition.
Clerk, when I say 2 minutes, I mean 2 minutes. You favored Honorable Farah with 5 minutes, unlawfully. But thank you for your contribution. Honorable members, this petition stands committed to the Committee on Public Petitions and to report back in the stipulated time and our standing orders. And members who bring petitions, you have a duty to follow up the progress of your petitions with this committee, because I've even given them time to work out of the city